Hi, nice to meet you. Great to see you here. How's the keynote?
Pretty good, pretty good. A bit hot in here in Cairns, but pretty good, yeah.
What did you share with the audience? What are the key takeaways from the keynote?
So we've talked about both of course, SSV and our growth the past 18 months. We grew quite rapidly today. SSV manages around 4 million ETH at stake. It's the second largest staking protocol in Ethereum. But more so, kind of the future of the intersection between validators and how validators can kind of grow this new category of rollups called based and composable rollups. And I think the vision there is really to enable or unlock a new category of rollups which are not necessarily based just on these giant brand names like Coinbase or OpenAI or Robinhood, but actually enable any dApp to become ultimately a rollup and compose between them. So the user experience is like you never left Ethereum. I think that's really important because it can both solve the fragmentation problem, but also it can drive value back to ETH holders. And I think that's something we deeply care about and want to see a lot.
Nice. Can you just make a short intro about SSV? How do you present it? How do you introduce it?
So we see ourselves as like this decentralized infrastructure for Ethereum. Yeah. We started with staking back in the beginning of 2024, and now we're seeing this intersection between validators and rollups. And so we always see ourselves as like this decentralized infrastructure for Ethereum, that things can be built in a robust and very efficient way. And so that's how I see SSV. Yeah.
Awesome. You just mentioned to me earlier before the interview that you have very good numbers about staking to share. Can you please share?
Sure. So SSV today is the second largest staking protocol in Ethereum, roughly 4 million ETH at stake, around $10 billion. We're the second largest. Basically, every 1 out of 10 validators on Ethereum today is SSV validators. So 10% of the Ethereum stake, actually 11% of the Ethereum stake. And so it's a big chunk of Ethereum, and it's a huge responsibility. I mean, ultimately, SSV drives a lot of the block proposals and attestations on Ethereum. And it's a very high performance kind of software and stack. And I think that's a huge amount of responsibility.
Yeah. I know also that you are launching SSV 2.0. So what's new to this?
So that's kind of the next evolution of SSV, I think, is towards the idea that validators can do more. Validators are this amazing set of different entities running high-performance software, and they can do more than just secure Ethereum. And so we saw that actually with MEV, for example. MEV was the first application or service that validators can opt into. And now I think we're seeing that with more things, and I think it can be much bigger than it is today. And again, going back to rollups, I think the most natural kind of next evolution of that is really validators to be sequencing rollups and offering pre-confirmations and so on. And I think that will open up a lot of doors, both in terms of kind of the evolution of rollups, but also drive value back to ETH, which is important.
That's super important. What are based rollups and how do they differ from other layer 2 systems?
So based rollups are sequenced, or basically the production of blocks is made by validators on Ethereum instead of a centralized entity. Now, it brings a lot of value in terms of the security properties of the sequencing, like decentralization, censorship resistance, and also credit neutrality and liveness. But then, if you have this Ethereum layer that does sequencing, you can do something called synchronous composability, which is the idea that you can compose between rollups, basically interact from one rollup to the other seamlessly, as if you never left Ethereum. And that's really enabled if you have this shared layer between rollups. And the best shared layer we can have is Ethereum itself, right? Because it's credibly neutral, everyone is using it. And so based rollups enable this from the ground up. If your sequencer is Ethereum rollup, is Ethereum validator, that Ethereum validator can sequence multiple rollups at a time and create composability between them.
As we are heading to the end of the conference, I assume that you were here from the very beginning, like from the beginning of the week. Yeah. So how the audience is reacting on your second update and everything that you just
I think there's a lot of interest, and I think this was like the 6th or 7th time I've presented this throughout the last few days, and so I think there's a lot of interest, and it's something that we're starting to kind of build internally and see how that fits in. But the future of validators doing more, specifically in the world of rollups, is super exciting for me.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing.